Murder! Most foul.
Welcome to Most Foul TV. This is Most Foul TV with your host, Pena.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome Most Foul TV. I'm your host, Don Pena, and this is Most Foul Chief. Alright, I'm back. It's been a while, folks. I don't know how consistent I'm gonna be. I'll try to get, as the season starts, start bringing you guys some videos again and commenting on some shit. As you can see, I'm pretty tan right now. It's pretty sunny over in sunny California. I'm working day shift now, so I'm in the sun. I'm not like a vampire like I normally am. But I just want to do a quick video. I was gonna send this. I was commenting to my friends about our Chiefs. And I was blabbing, and I realized, damn, this clip is going to be long. So I said, screw it. I might as well make a video and talk to you guys. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the draft. Who the Chiefs taking? Right? A lot of talk. Is it going to be a defensive end? Is it going to be a Reuben Baines Jr.? Is it going to be a wide receiver like Makai Lemon, or you know, one of the safeties or one of the corners or whatever? And I honestly believe, I think if you look at what the Chiefs are doing, if you look at the signs and all of the players they've already got, to me, it's a no-brainer that they're taking Kenyon Sadiq at 9, the tight end, the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. The reason I say that, look at what they've done in the offseason, right? So you went out and you got, because what are the weaknesses they've been saying? Like, obviously, offensive line needed help. But according to reports and what most people think, the offensive line is not as bad as one would be, you know, they would believe. But they got rid of the problem. You know, you got rid of Jawan Taylor. You got rid of, what the fuck the other guy was. And then they replaced them. And according to reports, it's like the offensive line is actually not as bad as it was believed to be or whatever, but we still need a decent right tackle apparently. And then they brought in, I forget who they brought in, but they got in someone in free agency to help, who's better than that was it, the guy from like the Niners or whatever, but they got somebody, and that person is better than the right tackle we previously had. So cool. All right, so we got a little bit of help there. The biggest problem with the offensive line wasn't just the line. It was the fact that we had zero run game. It's easy to get to Patrick Mahomes and get to a quarterback when you know your team is one-dimensional. When you know there is zero fucking chance of them running the ball. Or if they do, they're going to get you 2 fucking yards. And, I mean, a team that has zero run game gets 2 yards of fucking carry. A team can sit back, hey, let them run it. Let him run it 3 times. They still ain't getting a first fucking down. That's only 8 yards. Now it's, 3rd and 2. That's pretty fucking easy to defend. And now you're just sending the house almost every time to the quarterback. And as good as Mahomes is, after a while, he gets tired. And yeah, he's going to get fucking sacked because they had zero run game. Right? So they brought in a better right tackle. They brought in a legitimate running back. Right? With Kenneth Walker, who's apparently like that guy. Okay, so you're actually gonna get a run game. You're gonna have a run game. And Bieniemy's back. They have a real wide receivers coach. They have a real offensive line. So this is another thing that people don't understand, which I'll try not to babble about this for too long. But I also have a conspiracy theory that I think the Chiefs fucking tanked the season on purpose. But like last year, like nobody talked about the fact that their coaches they had, like the running backs coach, their wide receivers coach, the offensive line coach. These were dudes who had zero experience in coaching in those positions. The running backs coach had zero experience in a skill position, like coaching anything. So I'm like, it was fucking weird. It was like the guys they had, they weren't quality coaches that had experience, that understood those positions, and that's why we saw what the fuck we had. I mean, obviously Matt Nagy's an idiot, But it wasn't just Matt Nagy. It was the running backs coach who had zero experience coaching running backs or any offensive players. It was the same with the offensive line. It was the same with, like, I think the defensive line coach. It was crazy. Running backs coach. Now, all of that's changed. They bring back Eric Bieniemy. They brought in the wide receivers coach from the Patriots, who has like 10 or 15 years coaching offensive skill position players. So, and then he comes from the Patriots, a winning organization, obviously. So cool. So we're back to like real coaching. That's number one, right? It's like, why would you do that last year? I think the thought process wasn't necessarily we're going to tank the season, but they're like, we're going to go into what we got, and if it's good enough and we get back, cool. But at the end of I think they were also, at least the head coach and the GM, Andy Reid and Brett Veach, I think they were at least cool with like, if we don't make it, fuck it. We can use a break, because it is very hard to go to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, which what would have happened? I mean, don't forget, they went 3 years in a row. They almost three-peated. They would have went 4 years, which is damn near impossible. Let's say they went and they didn't make it. They didn't win it all. Well, now you have another long season, very little time to rest, and then you're picking in the draft at 31, which it's like you're coming to the second half of Mahomes' career, and it's like if there was going to be a time to kind of pump the brakes a bit, like, hey, let's kind of coast into this season. We're not going to make too many big moves or whatever. Like, if we make it far, we're going to just go in with what we have. We win it all, cool. But if we don't, we have an early exit. I think that, I honestly believe that was the thought process. Because why would you have coaches that fucking suck? Why would you have coaches that have no experience in positions that are important, right? Fast forward to now, again, they bring back Eric Bieniemy. They bring in a Patriots wide receivers coach. They brought other coaches in that have legitimate experience. So now it's like, oh, okay, now they're serious. They addressed the running back room. They bring in Kenyon Walker. They bring in a legitimate right tackle who's an upgrade from the previous right tackle we had. Then they bring in, okay, so now it goes to the defense, right? Who do we need? We need help on the pass rush. The Chiefs had zero pass rush last year. Could not get to the quarterback. Could not sack fucking potatoes and shit. And so that was why, even with the secondary that we had, Trent McDuffie and Brian Cook and all those guys, it didn't matter. We were still 31st or 30th ranked against the pass, on defense. Why? Because no one could fucking sack the opposing quarterback. So if your team can't sack the quarterback and that guy has all day to throw, yeah, eventually your quarter's going to get burned, and that's exactly what happened. So, and that's why they let them all walk, because they're like, well, fuck it, we're paying them, but it's pointless to pay these guys if we can't fucking sack a quarterback. So they bring in, so we need help there, right, obviously. And so that would make sense that you're going to target a defensive end, a pass rusher in the draft. But then they addressed that. They went and got a guy, I forget his name, to help Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. So again, he's not an elite player, he's not a game wrecker, but he is help. He does have, he has way more sacks than anybody on the Chiefs last year. So that's a plus, right? Okay, so you bring in a little help, but he will help Chris Jones and George Karlaftis in the pass rush. So, okay, now you actually are a threat. That's going to help the safety room. That's going to help the quarterback, right? But you still need corners because we don't have a lot, and we still need safeties because we don't have a lot because they all left in free agency or got traded or whatever. All right, and then of course you still want skill positions. So the top three that I'm hearing that people think are going to be the guy is a defensive end, a safety, or a corner, right? So the Chiefs went in free agency. They went and got a defensive end. They went and got a running back. They brought in a corner, right? I think they brought in a safety. So, like, they have addressed all the needs. Again, these are not top players, but they're players that can hold down the position, right? So now you're going into the draft where you don't absolutely have to reach for a position. You can pick the best player available at that position for what you want. Any of those positions are available, like, would be okay, right? So if all of them are available, which is the best option? You look at the Chiefs' track record when it comes to corner and safety. What do? We don't pay corners and fucking safeties past 28, 38, or 30 years old. Especially if they're really good. If we develop them into the best fucking corners in the league, which the Chiefs tend to do, we let them walk. We get draft picks. And we let somebody else pay them. So, do you honestly believe that the Chiefs at 9, how many times are we going to be picking at fucking 9? Do you honestly believe that they're going to take their 9th overall draft pick, which we are not going to have very often, to take a player who in 4 or 5 years after his rookie contract is over, we're going to unload to another team because we are not going to pay him? We're not going to pay top dollar for the corner, even if we develop him into the best one. We're not going to do it. Chiefs don't do that. Like, what corner do we have past the age of fucking 30 or 28? It almost never happens. The last one we did was, I believe, Eric Berry, safety. And that was just because he kind of got grandfathered in from the previous regime. But since Andy Reid has been there, and with Brett Veach under at the helm, they don't do that. They don't, they're confident that they can develop corners and then ship them off to somewhere else because we'll just get another one, a younger one, and we'll do it all over again. And they've proven that they could. So I don't think it's a corner. I don't think they're going to waste that draft capital on 9th overall. I don't believe so. Same with the safety, right? And then now, okay, so wide receiver. Possibly we've done it before, but that's just my point, is I think they're going to be a little hesitant to pull that trigger, considering we've tried it the last few years. They did it obviously with Rashee Rice, and they did it obviously we just did it with Xavier Worthy, but Worthy at least is panning out, whatever, so it's like, that's okay. But then they did it a few years ago also with they've had more misses than hits, I guess, because again, I'm not saying Rice is a miss, but he comes with baggage. He's been injured. Worthy's been proved to at least his value for sure, and he's getting better. 3 years in, let's see, he's coming off a bit of an injury, so hopefully he's even better this year. It really lives up to his draft position, but so far he hasn't disappointed either. But then you got guys like Sky Moore, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, other skill, another offensive skill position, running back, didn't pan out. So again, at 9, and here's the thing with corner, with safety, and even wide receiver, are we getting the number one player at that position? We are not. Right? We're not getting the number one corner at 9. We're not getting the number one safety at 9. We're not getting the number one wide receiver or the number one defensive end at 9th overall. You might get the 3rd best player. In some of those positions, maybe the 4th best player. Again, at 9, you want a player that's going to grow with Mahomes for the next 10 years at the second half of his career. Or I guess middle of his career, right? It's not necessarily second half yet, but at least the middle part of his career. Because he still has a lot of years left. You don't want a guy that you're going to ship off in 4 or 5 years. What the fuck would be the point of that? Why would you waste that draft capital? You want a player that is going to grow with Mahomes, is going to be their generational player, a lifer for the Chiefs, at least as much as possible. And then you also want the best player at his position, if possible. And you're not getting that with a corner, you're not getting that with the safety, you're not getting that with the defensive end, you're not getting that with the wide receiver. So then it goes to another thing, kind of sit on that same thought process. Let's say they really like a corner, right? Let's say they really like this one corner, but then you're also looking at Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end, right? Fastest tight end in NFL history. He broke Vernon Davis's combine record for the 40. 4.39 as a tight end. The guy's a fucking beast. So you got a player that you could be the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. Get to play and be mentored by Travis Kelce for a year. Be able to sit in Andy Reid's system for a year before he has to take over and become the leader of that locker room for the tight end. Right? You have that. That's a possibility. then you have, so let's say he's there, and then you have a quarter that is equally of value, that you really like, or the Chiefs really like. I'm saying the Chiefs really like. Someone they had on their board. And it's like, all right, well, we really like him, but then we have, Kenyon's also there. Who do we take? Well, again, it goes back to what I'm saying about the 4-year thing. Why do the Chiefs ship off corners and safeties at the end of their rookie deals, or as they get, the second contract or whatever? Why? Because they're expensive. Because those positions are some of the highest paid fucking salaries in the NFL. So in order to be cap compliant, in order to not take a crazy cap hit and keep replenishing the team to surround your star quarterback, the best quarterback in the fucking league, the best player in the league with weapons and help, you have no choice but to get rid of those guys and keep loading up. So you have that problem. You know where you don't have that problem? At the tight end position. Because at the end of 4 fucking years, even if Sadiq, let's say, lives up to the hype and he is the heir apparent to Travis Kelce and he's the best tight end in the league, even if you make him the highest paid tight end, it's not that fucking expensive compared to other positions. You're not taking a crazy draft or a crazy cap hit paying a tight end. I mean, the highest tight end is what, 22 million or some shit like that, 25 million a year, if that. I don't even know if that's what it is. I know it's around 20, 22. And Travis Kelce's salary was around, I mean, obviously he would take, team discounts to help the team and all that. But even then, he was at 15, 18 million or whatever. He was, but even if he was the highest paid tight end, it's not crazy. It's like this, the tight end position is not like a wide receiver or a quarterback or a safety. They don't get that crazy ass money. Travis Kelce even jokes about it. So when you look at those things, when you look at what the Chiefs have done, you look at they need a defensive end. They went and got one at free agency. Oh, they need a quarterback. They went and got one at free agency. They need a safety. They went and got one at free agency. Running back, same thing. Did I say running back already? Whatever. They went and got one, right? They filled all these holes. So when they go into the draft, they're not like, fuck, we really need a coordinator. This guy's not the best one, but he's he's one that's he's available. He's the 4th best guy. We got to take it. They're not going in like that. They're going in like, all right, who's there? What do we want? It's not a matter of what we need. It's what do we want? So if you want a corner, you want a safety, you want a defensive end, and you want either a wide receiver or offensive skill position player, what do we want? We want all those things. Okay, who's available? Well, that guy's available, that defensive end's available, that safety's available, that corner, but that's like the 3rd guy, that's the 4th guy, that's the 3rd guy, best. Well, shit, Sadiq is still there. You got a couple of wide receivers. Oh, that's the 3rd best wide receiver. That's arguably the 4th or 5th best wide receiver that's available. But then you have Kenyon there, and it's like, well, shit, he's still on the board. He's obviously the number 1 tight end in the draft, hands down. No one's saying he's not. Why wouldn't you? So you're getting the number 1 player at his position. You're getting the fastest player in history at his position. You're getting a guy that in 4 or 5 years at the end of his rookie contract, if you renegotiated and paid him, even if you paid him top dollar, made him the highest paid player at his position, it's still not going to affect your fucking cap hit. And you get a guy that will be able to grow with Mahomes and be his safety blanket and slide right into that position just the way Travis Kelce is, and we have a young version of a Travis Kelce / Vernon Davis player paired with Mahomes. Are you fucking kidding me? The writing is on the wall. To me, it's a no-brainer. Everything makes sense. Everything else is a smoke. They're like, oh, they're meeting with Makai Lemon. They're meeting with whoever the fuck they were at. So what? Of course they are. There are also 30 other teams there. And they also have like 5 or 6 other interviews that they're doing. But they do that every year so they don't tip their hat so people know who the fuck they're going to take. It makes all the sense in the world. I think it's going to be Kenyon Sadiq. I think he's a player that Brett Veach and Andy Reid favor. They love speed. They need someone to fill that. Like, that's a hole that has to be filled no matter what, whether it's this year or next year. Travis Kelce, this is his last year, and we do not have an answer for his replacement. But now you got a guy that's sitting there, that's the fastest tight end in history, that you can go get. It makes all the sense in the world. I think that's the route they're going. We'll find out in a couple of weeks, but that's just my opinion. Let's see if I'm right. I'll see you guys next time. I don't know when that will be, whenever the hell I feel like it. And peace.